Welcome, everyone, to the Dr. Blue Duck podcast. And today we're going to be talking about the perfect handheld combination for gaming dads out there. And if you don't know, this podcast is for gaming dads out there. So let's talk about this first. There's been a lot of negativity out there about the Switch 2 lately. And I can see that if the Switch 2 is your only gaming console, and if you have this expectation that the Switch 2 is going to be playing AAA titles at great frame rates and at great resolutions. And the reality is the Switch 2 just can't do that. I know it's a new system, but it can't do that. It's not going to do that. Borderlands 4 is not going to run well on the Switch 2. It's going to be horrible, okay? That's why I bought it for my PlayStation 5 Pro. So what is the Nintendo Switch 2 good for then? Well, it's good for two things, in my opinion. It's good to play those first-party Nintendo titles that we all grew up playing. If you're a 80s child like me, you grew up playing the original NES and you just loved it, and it was the best thing in the world until the Super Nintendo came out. I remember being at Toys R Us and seeing the Nintendo 64 on display and playing the demo of Mario 64, and I literally said to myself, there's no way graphics could ever get better than this. And I think we all kind of had that experience before at some time with video games, but as we know, things got better. So if you just have some type of nostalgic love for Nintendo, like I do, and many of the gaming dads out there do, get the Switch 2 for those Nintendo titles and get a Switch 2 for those indie titles, because those indie titles look great on the Nintendo Switch 2. But for those AAA games, what I would suggest is having another console, having the Xbox Series X, or like me, I have Xbox Series X, but like me as well, I also have the PlayStation 5 Pro, which I've been really impressed with lately. It's running Borderlands 4 pretty well, and other more fast-paced shooter games that I like to play. Call of Duty, it runs pretty well. Fortnite, it runs pretty well. So the PlayStation 5 Pro has a neat little handy handheld that you can buy for. It's called the PlayStation Portal. And if you have good internet, you can stream, of course, the PlayStation 5 Pro's gameplay onto your PlayStation Portal and play there. And that way you can get those AAA games and those more high-performing games on your PlayStation Portal, and you can play those even on the couch or laying in bed. So for me, the perfect handheld combination for gaming dads out there would be to have the Nintendo Switch 2 for Nintendo titles and for indie games, but also to have right now the PlayStation Portal to stream your PlayStation 5 Pro games onto that. Now you might be thinking, why not just get a Steam Deck? Well, I'm not a PC gamer. Maybe someday if I ever discover like $3,000 laying around and I want to build my own future-proof, top-of-the-line gaming PC, maybe I will change, but right now that's just not me. And when I come home from a busy day of work and then I hang out with my wife and kids and we go do whatever we do, have a great evening, and I put them to bed and I'm exhausted, I just want to be able to kick back and play a video game. I don't want to mess with settings. I don't want to optimize anything. I don't want to configure anything. I don't want to deal with anything being clocked or anything like that. I don't want to care. I want to be able to kick back and play a video game, and consoles allow me to do that. But if anything ever changes and I did become a PC gamer, what I would recommend is still getting the Nintendo Switch 2 for those Nintendo titles and those indie titles. But then instead of the PlayStation Portal, I would suggest getting a Steam Deck. Now, you might be saying, well, why don't you just get a Steam Deck anyways and stream your gameplay to that? And that's because the resolution of the current Steam Deck right now is 1280 by 800, and I just prefer the full HD screen of the PlayStation Portal. The PlayStation Portal has a beautiful screen, and it just looks so good when I'm streaming it from my PlayStation Pro. So anyways, that's my suggestion for you console gaming dads out there. Nintendo Switch 2 paired with the PlayStation Portal. There you go. You get to play your Switch games, your Nintendo titles, your indie games, and you can also play your AAA games, those more high performing games on the portal, the PlayStation portal, if you have good internets. So anyways, that's my suggestion. Or if you're a PC gaming dad, then of course I would suggest Nintendo Switch 2 and the Steam Deck. And I know someone out there is going to bring up, why don't you just stream it onto your phone? Because my phone screen is too small. I have the iPhone 14 Pro Max and the screen is just too small. It's not, I mean, it looks good, but it's too small compared to what I'm used to. Hey, I'm getting old like a lot of the gaming dads out there. I don't want to be like gaming on something this small. I at least want it to be like this size right here. Therefore, I don't like to do too much mobile gaming just because of the screen. It's just too small. And I did actually try it on an iPad and it just does not look as good on an iPad. So anyways, that's my recommendation for all the gaming dads out there looking for the perfect handheld combination. I'll catch you guys later. And as always, be kind, use your mind, and game on.